the Woodpreneur Podcast, where sawmill owners and lumber entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Every week, real stories from the timber industry, whether you're starting small or running a big operation. Subscribe for real stories and insights from the industry. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. I'm your new host, Jennifer Alger, and today we're going to be talking with Jay Peight, who's gone from farming to woodworking to realizing, boy, I want something different, and going into manufacturing to support the woodworking and sawmill industry. So help me welcome Jay. Jay, thanks for being here today. And I would like to have you just tell the audience a little bit about your background, what you used to do, and kind of what spurred the idea to what you're doing now.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. Years ago, I was born and raised on a farm here in Pennsylvania, and we did our own maintenance on all our equipment. So I got to get a first look at, how engineering and things were done. At the time, that was nothing in my plans, obviously. Then we got out of that, and my dad started a landscaping lawn care business. So I've been in that for like 15 years. After that process, I decided I want to get into something on my own, and I've always done woodworking and always had a fascination with woodworking and, just the wood industry. So I was looking at what I could do that would be a good thing to keep me busy for my wood business. And the first thing that I thought of at the time was just the start of the live edge slab, the epoxy river table, that kind of thing. And that really caught my attention. And so I wanted to get into that full time. And the first thing I did, this was back in 2015. And the first thing I did was to see how this process is. So one of the questions I had, how do you guys flatten this stuff? Because obviously when you pour epoxy, you can't pour it perfectly level. You need to have a way to flatten it later on after it's poured and cured. I did a lot of research and I could not come up with anything at the time as far as a professional machine that does that job specifically. And the other thing I could find was router sleds, these homemade router sleds. And right away, I was like, yeah, there's got to be a better way. I don't think that's very efficient. So I got to thinking, why not engineer my own? So I got started on it. I think it was in 2015.
So you're thinking, I'm building these epoxy tables, I'm building these river tables, these live edge tables. How am I going to flatten this? And so
Exactly.
you set out to build a shop tool for your shop.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
at that point, I had no intention whatsoever of turning this into an actual company, from what I have today. And so I got to engineering this, and worked at it evenings, weekends, late nights. Sometimes I'd be engineering till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. And I was building my machine as I was engineering it. So it was over a span of like 5 years till I finally got the machine built. And obviously it was my first one, so it was very crude, but I had the concept. The concept was there. And so once it was working, I was like, wow, this actually works really, really good. So I posted some pictures on a couple of Facebook groups, and man, I tell you what, I was not prepared for the kind of response I would get. I mean, I spent literally two and a half days responding to messages, guys just asking about it and all that.
Yeah.
So, and then it's been quite a journey, get to that point. And then after I went through that, I was like, you know what, maybe this is something I should look into and turn this into an actual business, company, just building flattening machines. And so that was kind of the start of everything. Obviously there's been a lot of things that happened between then and now, but that was kind of the start of everything.
Yeah. So how did, and what year was that you started producing for other people?
2021 is whenever I delivered the very first official JointaWood machine.
So right at the sawmill woodworking boom in the U.S.
And
yeah, we just still feel
Yeah.
those COVID vibes. Yeah, that was an insane time for the sawmill industry.
Yes, it was.
The woodworking industry. Yeah.
And at the time I did not realize there was that big of a boom. But now looking back, I'm like, okay, that's why I was absolutely overwhelmed with orders, to the point where I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably lost like 8 to 10 sales just because of not being able to get it done soon enough.
Yeah, yeah, it was that way, as I mentioned right before we started, I work with Woodmiser, and we were out 2 years on sawmills and most
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah.
It was an absolutely unprecedented,
Crazy.
insane time,
Yes, it
and
was.
across the industry, we go to these trade shows with all the different mill manufacturers,
Right.
the manufacturers. We were all in the same boat, just trying to
Yep.
support the people who needed our product, and
Exactly.
yeah. Thankfully, it didn't slow down to nothing. We're still going, but it's not, we're not 2
Yeah.
years out anymore. So,
Right. Right.
yes,
Right.
you definitely,
Yep.
boy, talk about the law of timing right there,
Man.
entering the market during that. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I I would ask, I mean, that sounded, like a pretty exciting thing for somebody who was just kind of looking for a solution for themselves and then stumbled on a
Right.
solution, a total change in direction for your business.
Exactly.
And, I was gonna ask you what's the most exciting thing in your career so far, but I'm not sure you can top that. Do you have anything else?
Well, Well, so obviously it makes you feel good, to be able to engineer something that works as well as it does now, and it didn't happen overnight. From the very first machine to the machines I have now, there was ongoing updates, upgrades. I saw areas that were a little weak, some weak points, and I tried to get on that right away and get them addressed. But the goal was just to, once I decided this is my full-time job, the goal was to make sure every aspect of the machine is built solid to protect me from headaches down the road with callbacks and, guys having issues
Yeah.
and this and that. And some of that did happen on a couple small aspects of the machine, but it ended up being a bigger problem, but I got it resolved now and it's been going well so far.
So you do the manufacturing in-house or you sub that out, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I engineered the whole machine, obviously from the ground up. And then I have a local a fabrication company that does all my steel work. They do all the machining, like the laser cutting, bending, and all that kind of stuff. They get the parts prepped.
Yeah.
And then I have a local guy that does the welding for me. And then once that's all done, then I take it to a local shop that just started doing powder coating. They had been painting for years, and then they just put in the powder coat shop. And so they do the powder coating for me. Once that's all done, I bring all those parts back and assemble everything here at my shop and test it and all that before it goes out the door.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, what would you say after all of that? Like, what would you say the biggest obstacle or the biggest challenge that you ever faced in bringing this to market and in your industry?
Yeah, so I would say the number one challenge for me, since I'm just a one man show, is being able to get these machines turned around fast enough. That's been a big problem, because obviously I'm not a big, well established company, that can just put out machines left and right. It's
Right.
and with the amount of interest I had coming in, that was a big challenge to be able to navigate that and because obviously you want to sell as many as you can and get as many out there as you can. But I was very limited with that, and I'm still limited on that aspect. However, I'm working with Steve now on getting myself, kind of coaching me through the process to see how can I be the most efficient
Right.
as
Yeah.
far as that.
He's great with time management and with all the
Yeah.
all the other things about business that you don't even think of. It's not just marketing, it's how what's the whole package? What's the whole business? And he's great at that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
very good to hear that you're doing that.
Yeah, and then as far as the biggest accomplishment, I would say probably being able to offer a total of 3 series of machines. So it ranges all the way from the very small, basic do-it-yourself kind of setup for the smaller shops, all the way up to an industrial machine. So there's a wide range of options, and there's so many different configurations and options that I offer now. Obviously, this was built up over the course of these past few years, and that was pretty exciting to be able to offer so many different, a wide range. So, the weekend woodworker or the hobbyist, there is a machine there, that's a little more within his range of pricing and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Um So and I didn't realize who you were we were in a group chat, a sawmill group chat on Facebook a couple days ago. And I didn't even realize who you were, but we were in a conversation about, and it might have even been you that posed the question. I don't remember about the slab market. Was that you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and yeah.
And I was trying to piece it all together. So
Right.
let's talk about that thread for a second and
Yeah. Yeah.
repose your question here to the listener.
Yeah. So I basically ask, how guys are seeing the market right now in the live edge slabs. Because obviously we all know at one point there was an absolute boom, and I've heard from different people that they were like, oh, this is just a passing fad, this is going to be non-existent in a few years, which I was a little concerned about that because obviously that directly ties into my business,
Right.
And so I just posted the question, what's the slab market looking like? Does it look like it's going to continue on this trend, or is it, slowing down? And that was basically kind of the scope of the question.
Right, right. Yeah. And I just remember chiming in, and there were so many different things that people were saying from around the country. But one of the things that I know is wood doesn't go out of style. So it's here to stay. Non-live edge slabs still need flattened, right? You know?
Right.
And so in my mind, the market's still there. We around 2000 is when live edge slabs really started taking off for us, and
Okay.
that's been our bread and butter at Far West.
Yeah.
And we had 2 years where other wood products overtook that in the teens. I think 18, 19, I'd have to look back at my numbers to be sure, to where other wood products overtook that: timbers, arches, architectural millwork. But then right afterwards, live edge slabs started coming back up again. Right now, people are asking us to take the edges off, but they're still wanting us to flatten them. So we're still flattening slabs here,
Right.
And
Right.
whether they're edged or not edged. So live edge slab market, is it going away? Probably not completely.
Right.
Will it go up and down? Absolutely. Is it tapering off? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've had a local guy here as well. I did some flattening for him here and there whenever I'd have a machine assembled, and that would be my means of testing the machines. And we got to talking on that as well. And he said he feels like the epoxy part of it will fade out, but he said as far as the live edge wood itself, he said he does not see that completely going to nothing.
There's ways that it can be done that are very classic, and there are ways that it can be done that are very rustic. And I think those styles are going to play on the regions, on the environment that it's going into. If you're working in a lodge, you're going to get a different feel from if you're working in a posh LA, hotel. And so you're going to get different vibes and different feels, but I'm not worried about it. I mean, wood's here to stay. You go back through history, and wood has always been popular. So
exactly,
we're in the right industry. Wood.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it's the building product of the past, and it's the building product of the future. So
exactly. Yep.
So that's in talking about trends. I think it's not going away. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What's one thing that you wish that people really understood about your industry?
About like my specific business as far as building machines?
You'd like to take that?
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. So I'll just tell you the experience that I've had myself. Before I would build these machines, I would go and buy a product, right? And I'd look at the price and I'm like, these guys are crazy. There's no way they can get that much money into building something and then turn around and sell it for that crazy price. They're making a crazy amount of money on this product. Well, I opened my eyes getting into it and actually building the product. I'm like, wow, it's unbelievable how much money you actually get wrapped up into building a machine. And you look at it, it looks so simple. It looks so basic, but it's shocking how much money you get wrapped up in just building a machine.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things where, obviously not everybody will understand, but
Right, right. Yeah, I think people who've never done something, it's always harder for them to understand. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
Is there a specific story or message that you would love to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a mission, you know. I just set out to build a flattening machine, and my goal was to have the widest range of options, configurations to cover a wide range of businesses, and at the same time build a machine that's absolutely built tough, bulletproof. I just want something reliable and dependable, and you know, with the reviews I had come in so far, it's amazing. I'm very happy to hear the reviews that I did get so far.
Yeah.
So far, it's been nothing but 5-star reviews. So
Great. That's
yeah,
wonderful. And
so
you have, like I said, I didn't know anything about this product until like, today.
right.
And uh you have a drum sanding option and a helical head option on the
Yes.
machine. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Actually, I just got it patented. I just got it patented now, so that's a huge win for, you know, for my product. So yeah, I run a. So I'll tell you on the shop series. We'll just kind of go through the series here and just give you a little bit of an overview. The shop series has a 7-inch wide helical head, but it only has a helical head. It does not have a sander on it. And that one's very basic. You push and pull. It's all manually operated. So the idea was to get the price point down cheap enough to where these hobbyists, weekend woodworkers can afford it, or, you know, the small to medium shops. Then the next step up is the commercial series, which that has a 12-inch wide helical head on it.
Okay.
In the same cutter head unit, there's a 12-inch wide sanding drum as well. So you can engage and disengage the sanding drum in like 5 seconds. So there's no need to switch out any components. You can go from planing to sanding in like 5 seconds or so. And then the next step up is the industrial series, which has a 20-inch cutter head, and a 20-inch sanding drum. Yep. So that's what makes this so different. Because any, go ahead.
Yeah, you finish that thought in just a second. So each of
Yep.
them have a helical. The
Yes.
next two up have a helical and a drum
Yes.
sander. Okay,
Yep.
but the entry level does not have that drum sander.
That's correct.
Got it.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so they'll have to go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm also working on, so that's the standard configuration of what I just told you, but the commercial series, I'm working at a second cutter head option. So that one actually features a 7-inch diameter helical head only. So in theory, you can take up to about a 1/2-inch deep cut in one pass.
Okay.
And from the feedback I've been getting from my clients, I would say 50% of them don't even use a sander at all because the helical head does such a good finish.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, why not offer a secondary cutter head option on that? And so there is an option for a cutter head only on that one.
Okay.
And then the industrial series, this I don't have public yet, but there's a really sweet setup configuration coming for that one as a second cutter head option. So
Okay.
that's coming in the near future as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, do people have to take their slabs? Like, say the slab is super wonky. Like, how
Yep.
flat does the slab have to be to put it on this machine and run it through and actually have it have it do a good job? Or do they need to put it back on our, we put slabs back on our WM1000
Right.
and run it through there
Get it
and then over to our slab miser. So what
Yeah.
are you doing with that?
So it can definitely be done. So it doesn't matter how badly it's twisted or how bad out of shape it is, it can get it done. However, just like anything else, the worse shape it is, the more time it's going to take to get down through that depth to get it to a perfectly flat surface. So if you have something that's extremely out of shape, you know, that would definitely be the best choice is to, you know, get it closed with another sawmill, you know, and then put it on the machine. However, it depends on how they want to do it. But
Yeah.
if they have no access to a sawmill, you know, then yeah, you can definitely use the machine.
You can get it done. It's just going to be a long
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
and taking
Long,
taking a lot of meat
Yeah.
out of that wood. So are you still you got into this to solve a problem for yourself. Do you find that you still have time to do the woodworking that got you into this profession to begin with?
That's a good question. Over the past few years, I've been so busy building the machines, I had no time to do any kind of woodworking projects. After a few years, I'm like, man, I miss this. I would like to build a couple projects, just to kind of get my woodworking feel.
Right, right.
I did miss it. However, I did not have any time for that. I did put out a couple tables here and there, but no, it's been pretty much building machines.
Yeah. What's the last project that you ever built, woodworking wise?
So it would be a table. I actually have a couple of them that are in the process right now.
Okay.
Just a live edge table, just like everybody else does, with the steel base and everything. But yeah, and the other thing too is over the course of years here, I had a tree or a bunch of slabs that I got cut and got kiln dried. So that was my stockpile to test these machines on. Well, throughout the course of a couple years, I started building up a lot of slabs that were laying there completely flat and ready for projects. And so I tried to take some of the nicer ones that I liked out of that inventory and just building tables out of them or
Got
any
it.
project out of them. But,
Yeah. A little
so,
burn off a little steam doing what
exactly.
started all this to begin with. Yeah.
Exactly. That's correct.
That's
Yep.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you started, were you working a day job and then woodworking, or were you ever a full-time woodworker?
Yeah, no. So I would pretty much have a day job, then I do woodworking. I was one of these evening weekend woodworkers. That's where when I transitioned into I had wanted to get into woodworking full time. That's when I realized I needed a flattening machine for the type of work I wanted to do. And then it just kind of I kept my day job, until I got busy enough with building the machine. So it kind of evolved from having my own shop set up to unexpectedly building machines full time. And I was so busy to where I was like, okay, you know what? This is going to be my focus. I'm going to shut off on my other jobs. This is going to be my job. And that's what I have currently.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And how are you balancing all of that? Hopefully you're not still working to 1 a.m. because I hear a toddler in the
Yeah.
background.
Yep. Yep. I got a couple little boys,
Wow.
6 and 3. So yeah, that's been a big challenge, to try to get the work done I need to get done at the same time spending time with my family
Right.
and weekends. But no, I'm definitely not doing that 1 a.m. stuff anymore.
Good. Good for you. Glad that you're past all of that.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Is there
I
anything
mean,
else that you'd like to share? Anything else going on with your business? You told us about some different things coming out.
yeah. Yeah, there's actually 2 major projects I'm working on, and there again, it's just gonna be a couple extra options, and that can be, bought for the machines or set into their configurations, however they want it set up, but just expanding that option line.
Oh,
And there's actually 2 major ones, and I'm really excited to get those out there because I think guys are gonna absolutely love it.
great.
Uh,
And so these will be able to be added on to the existing units.
yes,
They don't have to
yeah,
buy the unit. Great.
yes, exactly.
Okay. How would people, if people want to contact you, how would they contact you, Jay?
So I have a website, and that was one of the projects I had Steve do for me. So he put a website together to where it's very easy for guys to just go to the website, fill out a quote form. I have a phone number there you can call or text me at, email. There's a lot of different ways, and then I also have social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So I've had guys contact me through any of those.
And what's your Instagram?
It would be Slab Woodplaner. That's either that or I should pop up if you put in JointaWood.
JointaWood.
Yep. And then Facebook is JointaWood Slab Surfacers.
Great.
That's my page on Facebook.
Good.
Yep.
Jay, this is the part of the podcast where we kind of talk through, and I know you're already being one-on-one coached with Steve through the Woodpreneur Network. Yeah. Is there anything that you're dying to ask, anything marketing or business related that's just your big pain point that you just, if you could wave a magic wand, the problem would just go away?
Right.
That
right.
perhaps I could help you with, or even reach out to the greater Woodpreneur Network at large.
Yeah.
What would that
Yeah.
be?
First thing that comes to mind is getting that publicity.
Okay.
getting that, being out there visible to anybody that has any questions or is looking for a flattening machine, being there as an option, top ranking Google search,
Right.
that's my goal. And because obviously over the past few years, I've literally been building machines off of basically word of mouth.
Oh, wow.
Guys
Okay.
seeing other guys' Instagram posts or Facebook posts,
Where did you
their
get that?
followers would reach out. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I never had any kind of marketing strategy in place until now,
Great.
because I got caught up on my build.
Mhm.
And now, since this is my own business, now I'm like, okay, I got to get a marketing strategy in place. So yeah, I would say having that publicity, to
Right.
where I'm easy to find. Because I had a few guys here recently that found me somewhere, and they were like, "Man, I could not find you. Like, you were very hard to find." So that tells me
Yeah.
I'm not out there as visible as I'd like to be.
Right, right. And you're working on your Google business page and your Yelp page
Yes,
already and getting those
exactly.
up. Did Steve set your website up with a blog post area where you the
Yes, yes,
blogs
he,
on there
yep,
so your SEO, help
exactly.
raise your SEO?
Yeah. But there's a lot of things kind of happening behind the scenes that Steve and his team are doing, and
Great.
it's exciting. It's
Good.
exciting. So,
Yeah.
yep,
And I know one of the little things is taking those, having ChatGPT help you a lot. I don't know if you're getting into
yeah,
AI or not, but they can break down a
yep,
blog post into smaller versions that you can put over on that Google business page and help those
right,
ratings. And
yep,
so
yep,
those things take a minute. They take a little bit of
yep,
time.
exactly. Yep,
Yeah, but
yep,
they come together.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, we'll see how things go from here on out. I don't know what I'm going to do if I get too many orders that I can't keep up with, but I guess that's a problem for a later time.
good problems to have, right? Good
Yeah,
problems to
yep,
have.
that's
This is
right.
a great industry. I love working in it. I've been in it. Well, I was born in
Oh yeah,
wood business, in the wood industry, but very specifically in the sawmill woodworking industry since 2000.
yeah,
And it's just a great community. We love supporting each other. Happy to support you, and
exactly.
happy to we're huge proponents of competitive collaboration. So
Yeah, yeah,
definitely happy to have you here, and great
yeah,
seeing you on the Sawmill and Millworks Facebook page as well.
yep,
I'm sure I'll see you out there again and get to know you a little bit
yep,
more. So thank you
yeah,
so much for
absolutely.
being on the show today. Was there anything else you had for me?
Not necessarily. It was great meeting you and being on the show with you.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
I will see you around. Well, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you
Well,
all for
thank you.
listening to another episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. We'll see you next time.